Faith can feel like hearts and butterflies until someone lights a match and burns it all to the ground. Welcome to the Burning Butterflies podcast.
The sad thing is that there's abuse of every kind within the church. But the spiritual abuse is the stuff that just
It's a place there shouldn't be abuse. Like, there just shouldn't be abuse in a place that claims Jesus.
Well, it ruins your soul. If you're new here, we suggest listening to our prologue episode first. This is the story of two women's journey through spiritual abuse and escaping from toxic church culture while finding hope in Christ.
Sometimes it's just the facts, and if you get offended by it, that's a you issue. And if we can't be mature enough to have these conversations, even if some of the topics are difficult, then shame on us.
All right, so when we last left in your part of the timeline, Froggy proposes in probably the most romantic proposal.
The most romantic way.
Like, I'm surprised we don't have a Nicholas Sparks.
There should be. It was amazing.
Can I keep you forever? You said yes. So you're engaged to Froggy now.
Yeah, driving down a county road. Yeah, I'm engaged.
Yeah.
Gonna marry Froggy.
Okay, so how was like the reaction to that? Because like in the previous episode, you talked about how Charlotte ran into the two of you
At
the
Trunk
fall
or
festival.
Treat, and she was like, no.
So we're talking a month later, you roll in and you're like, how did he tell his family? Were you there for that? How did all that go down?
Yeah.
So before we dive into this episode, I feel like just setting the tone during this episode is very important. And so understanding that, yes, I know this is insane, but also understanding that from the moment that I met Froggy, like he was doing everything in his power to become Mr. Wonderful. Like if I liked something, he liked it. If I didn't like it, he didn't like it. Like to the extreme. And then also on the flip side of that was telling me, like feeding that into my ego of like, I've never met anybody like you. You're so cool. You're not like any other chick. And just a constant stream of like, you're so great. And all the things, like the quirky things, like I'm smart, I'm intelligent, I'm funny, and all these things. So this whole process of like not only becoming Mr. Wonderful, but also painting a picture and feeding my ego of like, you're this ideal person.
So we go. It may have just been Tom and Charlotte. It might have been like Sunday night family dinner. So there could have been more people there. So we tell them, and there is like this, the no I got, it's just not coming out. It's not being verbally said. Mm-hmm. So then there's this like interrogation. Now I've been front loaded. So I already know all the answers.
Yes.
And Froggy knows all the answers to every kid knows how to manipulate their parents. So he gave me the test results before we went in to have the conversation. So I knew all the answers. We knew all the answers. And it wasn't okay, but it was okay. They're like, well.
I could picture Charlotte's face. Like, I know the face, like her.
The face. Yeah.
I know.
So, yeah, the face. The very restrained. I have an opinion about this, but.
I am pissed off right now, but I am not going to verbalize it.
I'm not going to say anything. Yeah. And we'll just see about that. And so they realize that since we had all the right answers, there's nothing they can do. So it's going to happen, right?
And you're grown-ass adults at this point. Like, you're in your 30s.
Yeah. So we spend all of our dates from this point forward, our dating happen in their living room. And
By their request, or that just how it's
no, because we want to be good. So we cannot be alone. So you don't sin. You can't be alone with each other. So
so
he
the-
would go out with things with my kids. Like we would go, but
Mhm.
then that's it. Like there was always other people around. And so, but
Got you.
for the
Okay.
most part, we go watch TV with his parents.
So do you feel like it was his parents saying that, or do you feel like he was trying to prove to his parents?
He was trying to prove to
Okay.
his parents, because we were both, I mean, like, if you understand, like, put yourself in the place of,
Oh yeah, no, like you're both like
we are both
divorced.
at this
Yeah.
point, though, where we're being treated, at least I feel like, and maybe people aren't intentionally treating us like this, but we are filling the narrative. I guess that's the best way to put it. We are filling the narrative of these 18-year-old kids who are freshly starting out in the world and going to get married, and they're going to do it the right way. So we are both in our mid 30s starting over, but we are fulfilling this narrative. And the response from like the church body and everybody is like on board. Like 99% of the people
It's so
are
great
just
that you're
like,
doing this God's way, and God restores, and look, he takes brokenness and makes it beautiful.
Right.
And all the things.
right. And they're totally supportive of artists and they're totally feeding into it. And so there's this, we are just playing out the story of what it's. I
But
don't
honestly,
know.
that probably helped Froggy in his quest, because had more people in the church questioned it and been like skeptical, then that would have given Tom and Charlotte more to stand against it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the fact that the church body collectively, the majority were having positive reactions to this, then it makes it harder for them to stand against it.
Right. And he said no, like he wouldn't marry us. Like he was not going to be the pastor who married us. He said, I
Mhm.
marry my kids once and that's it. I'm not marrying them again, because they did their his first marriage
Mhm.
ceremony. And I was like, that's fine, because I didn't want you to marry us anyway. I got a guy. That didn't go over very well. I don't know the conversation that happened, because I just know that Froggy was like, oh yeah, my dad won't marry us. And I'm like, that's okay. I want this guy to do it. And then he was like, okay, I'll let him know. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, my dad's going to marry. So I don't know the conversations that transpired. So the response of the church, like I said, 99%, everybody is on board and everybody is fueling this redemptive restoration. You're going to do things right. God is bringing you together.
Well,
And
and I think this is a very important point to throw in here, is that we've all known Froggy. His first marriage played out and imploded in grand fashion. We watched that show live. So when his first marriage ended, his first wife was in my small group at women's retreat that year. So like she all the
all the
tea.
beans.
She spilled all the tea. She was there for one night. The next morning he woke up,
And she had to
she was
go.
gone, and Charlotte was like, oh, she had to go home. But now knowing what we know, we're like, oh no, Charlotte full on was like, you can't be here.
Right.
Telling all the things.
I think it's important to point out in this part of the story, though, that like you have no idea who I am.
No, I don't. Like, because I don't know probably not until after Christmas.
Right.
Or you even on.
Yeah.
Like
You know my boys
I
because
know
they're in youth group.
yes. And I've known your voice like even longer than you were at Come As You Are.
Right.
I've known your voice.
Yes.
Love your voice. I have seen you.
Yes. You know my girls.
And I know they belong to you.
Yes.
They are carbon copies of you.
Yeah.
Like, but I have not placed you and your boys as the same family.
Right.
Like, and so, and I know this sounds crazy, because like if people listen to this and they're like, how do you do youth group? And you've gone on we've gone on out of town trips. Like we've had to have permissions.
You've sent me emails. I've signed them and emailed them back, but I've not met you face to face.
Yes. But that is fine in the realm of Come As You Are.
Right.
Because if you want to be a parent who doesn't want to show up to things,
To parent meetings.
Yes.
No, my kids are happy. They're fine. They started going there. And they started going there before I even went to the church. So they're in safe hands in my book.
And the young guy that I am doing youth with,
Oh, yeah.
you know him.
I know him.
And so, like, it kind of
And I
makes
know
sense.
your husband.
Yes, and you know my
Because he
husband,
was
yeah.
involved with taking the boys.
Yeah, because like he took them like fishing and did
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And
with
if
them.
I think if my daughters had been old enough to be in youth group at that point,
would've
then
made
I
more
probably
sense
would have
for-
known
yeah.
you, and I probably would have had a face-to-face with you because you're a
Yeah.
woman. Yeah.
And so, like, I don't want our listeners to think like, how the heck do you
How does that happen?
like? So it is part of like this ingrained system at Come As You Are that like you just don't have to have that
Yeah.
because there's just this underlying like, well, we're all family. It's fine. And so,
So 99% on board, everybody was,
mhm.
we're all doing this. And then there were a couple people, just a handful, I mean, maybe 2 or 3 people who said something negative, but they didn't say anything. Like, this is an important place to talk about.
They just had the balls enough to question.
Yeah, but not
Because
say
I
anything.
was like, oh, that's okay. Well, that's new. Like, oh, they're getting married. Well, that was fast.
Yeah.
So, but I never said anything to
No.
anyone. I never verbalized that.
No. And you wouldn't, because like that's the narrative of the church is you don't talk bad about people. You don't hold records of wrong. So you can't bring up people's past.
And you don't
And
ask questions
you don't
because
ask
then it's going to seem
questions.
like you're gossiping.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you don't want to be the person who is, you get put in your place so quickly to not question authority.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And you don't question, you don't gossip, you don't talk bad about people, and all of that. And I know this from firsthand because this willful ignorance, like I participated in it.
Mhm.
There were things that I know that I didn't say anything. And you were in such fear of either losing your good, I'm going to say ranking, but your good, like,
You don't
good
wanna,
graces. You were in the
Yeah.
good graces of the church.
you don't want the
You didn't
church
wanna
to think
be-
you're a gossip or you're
Yeah.
catty or you're any of those things.
Yeah.
And so when something like this happens, no one did question. Probably no one went to you or Froggy or
Right.
Tom or Charlotte.
Because we talked about pulpit shaming.
yeah.
Like you didn't step out of line because you'd be pulpit shamed.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about like you being told narratives about other people because you knew how to behave. Like you were taught and you were
Mhm.
molded and you were manipulated into knowing how to toe the line, and you did not want to get out of that good place if you were in
Yeah.
it. You didn't want to be the bad kid. And so I don't fault anybody for not saying anything.
Mhm.
I don't, because I get it. I mean, today I'm like, we all need to stop with this willful ignorance. And I today would do things totally different. I will do things different
Yeah.
at this point, and I will go have a conversation. And I will ask people questions and I will tell them what I know. And so within the church, there were a couple of people who their response was like, oh, that's not okay. But they never said anything.
Yeah.
You just knew they weren't on board with it. And I thought they didn't like me.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, well, they don't like me. They're on his side and they're just like, ew, why would you? That's how I took it.
Yeah. And you're just missing all of because like in your previous episode, you brought up like there's a significant number of red flags.
Yeah, there was on.
Where-
So your first and second date, red
Yeah.
flags. After that, nothing. Everything was perfect. Perfect
because-
behavior, perfect stories, everything was perfect.
Yeah. Because that's the narcissist's
Yes.
MO.
Yeah.
It's like, now we're going to mirror you.
Like we are.
You called out the red flag. So now we know, oh,
Yeah.
that's not going to get me where I want in
Yep.
this. So now I have
He
to play
has
the game.
become the perfect. If I had to like take it out of my brain and be like, "Shh," because I did, I'm like, that's why I said that jacket disappeared.
Yeah.
Like I said, nope, on the jacket was gone. We're not doing that again. We never do that again. Like this became, he molded himself into my perfect vision of who he was supposed to be
Mhm.
at that time. And so I'm great. I'm wonderful. You've never met anybody like me. I'm the most unique.
Mhm.
I'm the exception, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and
And isn't it wonderful? We both had to, go through all these trashy relationships in the past and go through all of this crap. So like now, here we are. We finally found our person. this is beautiful. So you start planning your wedding.
Yeah. So we start planning the wedding, and we started doing, marriage counseling, if you could call it that.
With
We would have meetings with Pastor Tom to,
so with his dad.
yeah, to, I don't never been to marriage counseling, so I don't know if this is how it goes, but basically we had a couple once a week meetings where we would talk about things. And we're planning a wedding at the same time.
Yeah.
So, the marriage counseling, for lack of a better term, I feel like we both knew all of the right answers. He'd be like, okay, my dad's going to ask this. This is what we have to,
Yeah.
we did all of this test preparation before all the tests, like every week.
And
Like, this is what his concern is because this is what I've done in the past. So this is what he's going to be most concerned about.
yeah.
And this is what we're going to tell him. And that was all done. Like, we had those conversations.
And he's lived through a marriage with Tom.
Yeah.
A part of this. So yeah, it makes complete sense that he would know the questions that were going to be asked and he would know the correct way to answer them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so then we're planning this wedding, and I don't want to have a wedding. I am like, I've already been married twice. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to have I don't want to have a big old wedding. Can we just do something small? Your kids, my kids, maybe a couple close people, family and whatever, and like
Yeah.
do something like just in the mountains or whatever. Or maybe how about you and I just go and get married?
Yeah.
Like, and I would love to do that. Like, cause I'm researching, like at this point, I'm like, how do you get married in the state of Colorado? And like, what are all of the requirements?
Not a lot.
Exactly. And so I was like, cool, let's just go to the mountains. We'll get the paperwork. We're going to do it. Like, let's just do that.
Pretty much you have to prove that you are a U.S. citizen over the age of, I think it's 21. And you have to have at least one person there who's like, yes, I witnessed
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. So there's not a lot to it. But seeing as how this is Pastor Tom's Charlotte's church, this is their son getting married, well, we have to have a wedding.
You are the Princess Diana of this whole thing. Like, really?
No.
You are, though.
Precious Prince Froggy's getting married. I just don't want to end up like
And it's
Princess
gonna be
Diana.
the whole thing.
I've-
Be a whole cool thing.
I've avoided that scenario.
Well,
this
no,
long.
hopefully not the ending, but-
Like, I've avoided that scenario this long by the grace of God. I don't
Yeah.
want to go there.
No, but like,
No, I get it. So to me, I'm like, let's just put a slide up in the church and invite everybody. We'll have an afternoon. It'll be great. I just want to have cake. I love wedding cake. Wedding cake is the best.
I want to be married. I
Like-
want to have wedding cake.
I want to have wedding cake.
If you have to invite people, fine. Just
whatever.
put it in a bulletin.
Okay.
Let everyone see it.
Yeah. And we'll just have
Yeah.
whatever, however many people. The gym can hold everybody that goes to the church. So just invite them
Yeah.
all. I'll buy sheet cakes for everybody. And so I get told at one point by Froggy, he's like, look, here's the deal. Like, he's like, on one end of the spectrum is Bridezilla, and on the other end of the spectrum is you. And I need you to like move in a little bit. Like, you don't need to be a
You please
Bridezilla.
care just a little.
And so he's like, but can you like something? Like we got church ladies that want to help you, the people at church that want to
Oh, yeah.
help you.
Because this is where the come as you are family, this is everyone's time to shine.
Oh, yeah.
And this person has vases you can use. This person makes flowers. This person makes cake. This person.
Yeah. And that's what I start getting told. And so we have to invite people. I can't put a slide up. Charlotte is like, nope, you have to have a list and you have to specifically invite people.
Mhm.
Okay. So she gives us a copy of the church roster and we sit down and we go through the church roster.
So hold on. Pause. You,
Yeah.
a person who has been at the church for less than a year,
Yep.
are given a printed copy
Yes.
of the confidential church roster that is used within the church office for financial tracking.
Yes.
Okay, proceed. Just
Okay.
wanted to.
It's just a list of names and numbers and addresses.
And addresses and family information and names and ages of children.
Oh, yeah. All that too. So anyway, I go through it. We go through it. And so he picked a lot of the people that he knew, right? And the stupidest part is I know people got their feelings hurt because there's people like, maybe I didn't know your name, but I know you. Like, I'm a face person.
Yeah.
Honestly, the amount of people that weren't invited, we should have invited everybody.
And that's the thing. That's another thing, because I'm sure there's some people, because I know like in the Lutheran church, like that's how we got our family pictures.
Oh,
like,
yeah, we did. We went every year, got our picture taken.
and
It was in
went
the church directory.
Like, Come
Mills.
Yeah. Come As You Are didn't have that.
Yeah.
They had like, I'm not joking, like up until probably 2018, everything was on Microsoft Access.
Oh, wow.
And then like I worked on transferring things over, and they were in Excel for a while. And then finally by like 2020, we were using like an actual software.
Yeah. And anybody who was in the office who had access to this was told, this is confidential. You don't share it. Nobody can see it.
Absolutely not. No.
Yeah. But Charlotte gave it to me to invite people to my wedding. So we did that. We sat around their dining room table. He picked the people that were going to come. Me, I was like, yeah, that was it. I said yes to everybody.
Yeah.
I was like, just mark them all. He's like, okay, well, what are we going to do for decorations? And, and it was like, his grandma wanted to offer us stuff. And then I was told that like, well, this lady had just gotten married. You should ask her if she has stuff you can use. I don't know this lady. So I was supposed to go ask somebody I don't know, not my friend, not anyone. Just be like, can I use your wedding stuff?
You just got married. Can I like all the stuff you just.
Yeah. And to me now, that sounds like weird, bizarre. And why would you do that?
Yeah.
But at the time, this was presented to me. And I'll even give you a couple examples. Like, I was told everything that I needed for my wedding was going to come from, and this wasn't direct. This wasn't like everything you need for your wedding, you'll get from somebody in the church. But everything that I needed for my wedding, the answer was there's somebody in the church who does that. So like, you need a cake. This lady does cakes. Mm-hmm. You need decorations. This lady just had a wedding. Go ask her. What does the church have before you ever would go out and bring anything in?
You need a photographer.
You need a photographer. The church has a photographer. Okay. So let's tell that story, because this one, you're going to love this. Just whatever you're doing, put it down and listen to the story. I was told that the church had a photographer who photographed the weddings at the church.
Any event within the church.
But I want you to understand, first of all, how many weddings had been at the church?
One, maybe two.
One or two before mine.
Yes. The building was brand new.
Building was brand new. Churches only had one or two weddings. Did you take the photographs for those weddings?
I did. Because the couple, I had started doing like a photography business on the side.
Uh-huh.
And so I had done the very first couple who got married in the church. I had done like some family pictures for them. And so then when they got married, they came and asked me to do their wedding.
Okay.
And then the second couple that got married were like cousins or something of the first couple.
Yeah.
And so they were like,
they're like, oh, let's use your photographer.
We like the pictures you did for first couple. Can you do it for it?
Right. So this was people in the church who used the same photographer who happened to be a member of the church. But was not the church photographer, Amanda.
They did pay me. Both couples did pay me to take their pictures.
So you guessed it. Amanda was the church photographer. And I was told, like, legit, the church has a photographer, so don't worry about photos. Now you tell your side.
So Charlotte approached me and asked me if I'd be willing to take your wedding pictures. Again, I have not put two and two together who you are with your boys, so I still just think you're Froggy's new chick,
Froggy's floozy.
You were more put together than the other ones. Like you,
that's why I was so sold on the deal. Is I'm like, And
you were much more put together than the others. And so, like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, like, this seems fast. But honestly, like, I was like, well, at least she's better than, like, what he's been bringing. So, yeah, full on. Let's go. So, yeah. Finally got himself a good one. So, Charlotte approached me, asked me if I would be willing to take the pictures. I did give her, like, this is what I charged the other two couples. So I did tell her that I charged.
I feel like, just on a side note, I feel like what you just said from an outsider's perspective of like, well, look, he finally found a good one.
Mhm.
I feel like that was probably so many people's thought of like, and I can
Oh,
say
the
that
people
in
who
the,
watched the live show of Froggy imploding his entire
and
life.
I can think about things that were said to me. Like you just opened up a part of my brain where I'm like, oh my goodness, that was it. Everybody was like, finally,
Yeah, someone normal.
finally. Somebody, and that's why there were things that were brought up of like, because I have 5 kids. It was like, yeah, she's got 5 kids, but
Yeah, but you didn't have face tattoos? You didn't show up to church with your boobs or your butt hanging out?
so anyway, you give her a price, you quote her on a price.
Yes. So I did tell her I charged. And she said, okay. And I came and I took your pictures.
You did?
I did. I did never get paid for that. And that's not
Before
a you
you
thing.
get mad, I've apologized
No,
profusely.
no, that is not a Melissa thing because Melissa was not the one who booked me.
I just had the church photographer take my photo.
Yeah. So,
But I also, like, honestly, it's not just you. Because the lady who made cakes, this lady makes amazing cakes. And she does, like, handwork, like flowers and stuff on her cake.
piping and yeah.
This woman is amazing. And I went to her and I asked for just the cake topper. I said, I don't want a big cake. I'm
Yeah.
getting sheet cake.
So you just want the little cake.
I want
that
the
you two
little cake.
can cut
Yeah.
and put the little people on.
I want a wedding. I want to eat wedding cake.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat that cake. And then
Everyone else can eat
everybody
sheet
else is
cake
good.
like
And I'm cake like peasants, but it was good sheet cake. I'm not mean.
No, I'm down for a good
Let
sheet
them
cake.
eat cake. I have an opinion when it comes to cake. So y'all got good cake and my cake was just a little better. So I wanted this little cake topper and I had like this price in mind and I was like, this is my budget for cake.
Uh-huh.
And I felt like the budget, what I had for my budget was fair because I only wanted the topper.
Yeah.
And I did my research. I know what cake toppers cost.
Yeah.
She made me a 3-tier cake and then took the money for the cake topper.
Mm-hmm.
She did that out of church guilt.
Yeah.
You know, like, I guess she's the church beater.
Well,
like,
and I never said anything to
No,
Charlotte because
exactly.
I felt guilty.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if I go and I ask, then like it makes it seem like
Because
I'm
you're being greedy.
And why wasn't I just serving the Lord? And like, was I not willing to do this out of the goodness of my heart? You, after all, have married into our family. Am I not willing to do something for you selflessly and give of my time and my talents and my treasure?
Yeah.
So no, I never said anything to
Right.
Charlotte.
Like, it's not okay.
Yeah.
But so I also didn't have the money to pay her anymore.
Yeah.
But and also, it's not what I
Well, if any of us are seeking restitution, we're coming after Charlotte. Yeah, don't
okay,
worry.
good. I still ain't got nothing, so I'm sorry. That bag's empty. But
also, I think it's very fair to point out that, like, because in terms of like now, like you and I own a business together.
right.
We have invoices, we
Yeah.
have contracts, we have things that are in place to protect ourselves from things like this. Most businesses do.
Yeah.
You were discouraged from having those things when it came to working with church people.
Oh, yeah.
Even
And
if you had a legit business, like I looked at it like I take pictures on the side and people pay me. Like I was not making thousands of dollars doing this.
no,
I think I charged
everything was a free will offering, essentially.
like
it's like, I do this, and if you want to pay me, you can, and whatever you think it's
$400
worth.
for wedding photos.
Right.
Is what I was charging people,
Right.
which is like
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because I was still doing all the editing and all of
Yeah.
and I mean I had a good quality camera. It's not like I
Your
was
pictures are amazing. Like,
rolling in with like
no,
you
they're
know,
amazing. Like, you could have been
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah. And so, but I mean, that's just how it was. Yeah. That's the cult guilt.
And so I did end up spending on my honeymoon and the wedding all together $5,000. That's dress, kids' dress. I mean, I had to put all the kids in tuxes because our bridesmaids and groomsmen thing was all of our kids.
Yeah. So you have 5, he has 2.
Yeah. So out of the 7 kids, we had 3 boys and 4 girls. And so dressed them all, the small amount of decorations that I did, and the cake and the DJ and all of that. So
Yeah.
I spent like $5,000 out
Mhm.
of my personal pocket.
So we get to wedding day. I find this hilarious that like I kind of got to have like a behind the scenes view of your wedding day
Yes.
because I took the pictures.
And this is the first time that you and I have like face to face
Ever really interacted.
Yeah.
Like aside
Ever.
from like seeing each other and passing in the lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was no time that we have ever, this is the first time that you and I have actually talked was on my wedding day while you
Yes.
were like, what pictures do you want?
Yeah. And that is something that I had asked Charlotte for ahead of time of like, you know, what are pictures like I call them the non-negotiables. Like when it comes to like family pictures, you know, list everyone out you want to take family pictures with. And then your non-negotiables. Like my wedding day would be ruined if I did not have a photo of this. I never got lists like that. And so then, yeah, I felt like I was kind of like having to bother you on your wedding day, but like you were so super chill about it.
No, but that makes sense. And I'm in the most awkward, like I'm just really.
Yeah, like you were so chill. You're like, yeah, whatever. Like, whatever you get, that's great. Like,
I don't have an opinion.
Yeah. And
whatever.
So
we're
like,
doing this wedding I didn't want to do anyway, so whatever.
Yeah. And so through the wedding planning process, like, you know, your boys do start talking at youth and things like that. So I finally do.
Yeah. So I've
put
been
two
put
and two
together now in your mind. You're like,
yeah.
oh,
okay.
that makes sense.
She goes with the boys. Okay, this makes sense. How did your kids feel about all of this? Because your kids are resilient. Like they are very go with the flow kids.
Yeah.
Like, but also, like, there's a couple of them that have opinions.
Everybody is on board to the best of their ability. Everybody's on board, and we're having a great time.
Oh yeah.
This guy shows up, and he's Mr. Wonderful, and he's got a couple of kids, and my kids are very open. Like, this is the way our family is. This is the way that I am. The more the merrier.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's welcome. We accept you as you are, and just come and be a part of it, and we'll deal with it. And like, they might be like, yeah, it was a little weird. I mean, I know they would be like, it was strange and it was weird. And they've made comments, but they were like, okay, you know, like if this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. And at that point, they had no reason
to question.
No reason. Yeah. No reason to question. No reason to not like Froggy. Like I said, he was Mr. Wonderful. And we were making plans on how wonderful our life was going to be together. And we were doing things together, and he was showing up, and we were going places, and we were starting to play family. And so everybody was really getting on board with this. And it just seemed like it was going to be just so perfect. My youngest child, she was 3 at the time. She was not on board. Absolutely 100% not, to the point of active, like, defiance, protesting. She like her mama. This girl could go to like argue at the Supreme Court, and like she can poke holes in anybody's, like, she is like, but you said this, but 6 months ago you said this, that's not lining up. Like, she has got, this is her gifting. So, it's good, it's bad, whatever. Sometimes I'm like, yay, when you're on my side, but when you're against me, I'm like, she is refusing at the wedding to put the sand, because we did the unity sand thing, but we had all the kids put a layer of sand in to signify our blended family. And she refused to pour her sand in.
So she is so tiny.
Oh, yeah. She's so cute.
It appears as your oldest one leans over to encourage her, and Froggy is there. And I snapped this picture because I think it is a cute picture of a new stepfather helping out his stepdaughters and your oldest daughter is looking at him, and I have no idea that it's like
He's like threatening her
he's
to like
like,
pour that sand in there
pour the
now.
sand in the thing.
Yeah.
And like, I don't realize that's what's going on. So I
Yeah.
snap a picture of this. And for the longest time, I was like, oh, this is such a cute picture. Until like you later on told me that story. I was like, oh, that is not what I thought was happening at all. And I took a picture of it.
And to this day, she's like, anytime anybody brings something up, she's like, I did not pour my sand. I just, oh, on record,
I was the one.
I did not pour my sand.
Yes,
honey, you didn't. You're right. You were right. We all
Mhm.
should have listened to you. 3 years old. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of like snowy, rainy on your wedding day.
Yeah, it snowed. It
Yeah.
was cool.
It was very pretty. I like one of my favorite pictures of you is like you were kind of like looking out the big glass windows in the front of the church.
Mhm.
And so I had like a silhouette-y kind of picture
Yeah,
of
that's
you.
one of my favorite too.
And with
Yeah.
the snow falling
Yeah.
outside. And yeah, it was like,
It was really pretty. It was nice.
it was. But then when
And the
we,
cake was delicious.
well, so this was the part that I was like, oh, this is like, Froggy has an agenda. Because there was a fancy car that did you rent the car?
Yeah,
Like
I
don't know.
rented a nice car
Yeah.
because we were going on our honeymoon right after.
As I was waiting to take pictures of you guys like walking into the reception. And it was like, where's Froggy? Where's Froggy? Where's Froggy?
Yeah.
And so finally I walk out and Froggy had taken your car. He had pulled the car up to the front doors of the church. Now, mind you, there is no parking at the front doors of the church, but he pulls up like for a quick getaway.
Yeah.
Like
What you would do like towards the end of the reception, right before you're planning on
yeah, like
leaving.
a
He does
stand up.
this. I think he's out smoking a cigarette. And
He's pulling the
he's
car
pulling the
around.
car up while we're waiting to go into the reception.
Yes. And he left it
I
running.
did not know that. Like when you told me that for the first time when we were planning out this episode.
And he left it
What?
running. He left it running.
Where's my gas, buddy?
Yeah. But like, which makes sense because as I was taking pictures in your reception, like I was under the impression that like he was like, let's get all this stuff done right now. And you were like,
Oh.
I'm here to party, man.
Yeah, that was definitely weird. And then I was like, no, like we have to stay. Like in my opinion, we had to stay to the end, and I had to help clean up. Like that's how I was raised.
Yeah.
You know, there
everyone,
was no
everyone chipped
like
in.
settle down. Like
And you're from California. Like your family flew
flew
in
out.
for
I have
this.
family. I've got kids to take. I've got kids to take care of. I've got a friend from high school who had shown up. Like my best friend, and so it's like I've got people to take care of, things to do. Like it was weird to me. It was weird to me this whole idea that we would leave like in the middle of the reception or like at some point before it was over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I paid for this DJ. We're gonna have some music. We're hanging out. We're celebrating with our people. And so I was there to stay. And then everything was like, hurry up, 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 hurry up. So I won. We stayed till almost the end. So I was like, paid for this. We're gonna do this. We're
Yeah.
supposed to be here. And even then, you know, like kind of left my mom and my family in an uncomfortable position with like, not that the church ladies would make it uncomfortable, but like
It's like
then they're
people, they
there.
have no idea
My
who they
mom,
are
my
in a
mom won't
town.
leave until everything is cleaned up, which
Yeah.
is why I have to stay until everything. Like you have to be the last one leaving.
Yeah.
That's where I got that. So,
Well, let's look at your family, your friends are here in a town they don't know.
Right.
With people they don't know.
yes,
And like you and Froggy did.
yeah, and let's point out, like they think this is strange too.
Yeah.
But you also have to remember that they know me and they're like, okay. And they're
Free
like,
spirit Melissa.
yeah. And they're like, okay, well, this is going to, everybody was buying into
this is gonna be fine.
this is going to be, this is
Yeah.
going to be okay. And then of course, like when they start coming to the church while we're preparing for the wedding and everything, everybody's on board.
Yeah.
So my family's ill reserve is being eased because everybody's like, no, we know them. And this is going to, you know,
Yeah.
everybody's
Well, and
feeding
I
into that.
remember talking, I don't know who it was. I talked to someone from your family and I was like, oh, I love the kids. Like I love the boys. And Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm sure they were getting that.
They were
from-
getting that from everybody, and like this was supposed to work out. This
Yeah.
is the fairy tale ending. This
Yeah.
is supposed to be a good thing. So now we can move forward. We get married. We leave the wedding. We go on our honeymoon. I'd rented a cabin up at Estes Park. So we went to Estes Park and we're hanging out. And he all of a sudden, he like gets out a joint.
Had you up to this point know that Froggy partakes in the devil's?
So he had in the past, but he had given that up
And
for this new lifestyle. Remember,
this
he's
is-
Mr. Wonderful. He's still smoking cigarettes.
And this is all before Colorado legalizes it, correct?
Yeah, this is before Colorado legalizes it. And this isn't the place to have a debate or a conversation about that. I mean, I'm not even going to go into
but
that.
I just like
but
I didn't
this
want it
is
to. I just want our listeners to know it's socially acceptable.
right. And this to me is not the issue. Is we're not doing any of these things.
Yeah.
You have presented yourself as Mr. Wonderful. You're not doing any of these things.
Yeah.
You're working on quitting smoking. That's a tough one. I smoked. I understand. You know what I mean? Like, so whatever. So he's trying to cut down on smoking cigarettes, but nothing else. There's nothing else. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And for it to be like you're married and then bam, within hours, like
You
done.
got her.
I got there. I got her. And then it's like
The mask can come off.
the mask can come off now. And then it was like, where did you get that? We got it from his brother. So
That knowing Tom and Charlotte would absolutely flip their crap if they knew.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely would lose it.
Like it's these dynamics. This is like the initial seeing of these dynamics.
Yeah.
And these dynamics will play out for the rest of the story. And that's why these things
Yeah.
are important. Now, that story was used against me continually that I was mad about the pot, right? And whether I was mad about the pot or not, I was mad about the fact that you lied to me.
Yeah. You said you were done with that.
Yeah, like you said you were done with that. And it was just the fact of like I wanted to leave. I'm leaving. We're done. I'm getting this marriage annulled. I'm driving back down the mountain. It's snowing. It's dark. I just dropped $5,000 to marry. Sorry.
I've left my mom. I've left my kids. Like, and you come up here and you do that.
So
Like, screw you. I'm going home.
I'm gone.
Yeah. Understandable.
This is where we're at.
Yeah.
So of course I didn't.
Well, so like, did you have a level of like, I really don't want to have to drive down the hill and admit I screwed up?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was so easily talked. I was mad. I said the things I said. I still to this day I should have done it. I shouldn't have been a chicken. I should have done it. I should have done it. But no, I allowed myself to be talked out of it. I mean, because it is really insane. Like this whole thing is insane, but it was even more insane to then go have it annulled. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't insane what I did the last 90 days, but to have it annulled would have been to drive down the mountain. Oh yeah. I mean, I was so easily convinced to stay.
Burning Butterflies is a listener-supported podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing supporters on Patreon.
Follow the link in our show notes to learn how you can become a Patreon supporter too. Supporters get exclusive access to bonus content each month, including outtakes, cut content, and supporter-only episodes. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating on your listening platform.
Burning Butterflies is a production of Asha Media. Thank you for listening.